Okay, we are live. We're going to be talking about Control Alt Escape, the latest episode of Inside Number 9. Hello to the viewers we have so far. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Let's see, where are most of you? Because I can. Half on Twitter, half on YouTube. Lovely. Okay. So I'll just introduce myself. I'm Enchanted Essays. I make video essays and film and TV reviews. And actually, I've got I posted a video essay on Inside Number 9 that took 2 months of my life. So I like to bring that up in these streams. But also, it's done phenomenally well in the past month. Since the buzz for the new series has started. So it's I've got like 2,000 views for it in like just the last month. So yeah, thank you very much for that, guys. And I'm only. Hi, Jitesh, lovely to see you. And unless I'm very much mistaken, I am only 1 subscriber away from 1,500. But yeah, anyway, I post a lot of stuff, but some of it is like classic rock related and some of it is Britcon related. There's like my 2 main niches. Anyway, Soapy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Soapy. I'm a content reviewer that reviews similar stuff to Enchanted Essays, although my videos are more towards like the very silly, stupid sort of so bad it's good genre of media. And I'll have a review coming out tonight.
Yeah, wonderful. I can't wait for it. Actually, I used a clip of Neil Breen in that Inside Number 9 video essay.
Oh yes, I did see that one, and I thought, oh yes, I know where she got this idea from.
This is George on my side account. Sorry I can't join today. I have a painful cold. Excited to hear your thoughts on this episode. Is that Getcho? Yeah. Sorry you can't join us, but yeah, hope you feel better soon, and hope we're able to distract you for a bit from your cold. Okay, so, and we might have Elliot from Loonvids join us later, but he's not sure if he's going to be able to make it tonight. Anyway, so let's start off. Do you have any sort of overall thoughts that you want to start off with? Because of course this is your second episode of Inside Number 9.
Well, it was quite different to the first one that I saw. I thought it was. I'm not sure which one I preferred. I'd have to think about it more. I'd say that I could tell, obviously, at this point that there was going to be a twist, but I couldn't quite tell what it was. I thought what I was thinking is, oh, the killer is going to be real. That's what I thought that it was going for. And then when well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I think it's a thing you might guess. You're more likely to guess if you're less familiar with the show. I think people more familiar with the show might think that, but I think some of us, quite a few of us, will think that'll be too obvious for them. But they're still. I think they did a good job of making it look like that might be the twist. They're very good at it. Their red herrings are very subtle, because usually it's like, I don't know, Scooby Doo. The red herrings are quite obvious.
Yes, of course.
Although not necessarily obvious that they're red herrings, but obvious that they're a possible solution to the problem.
Yes, I was going to say, although I remember watching Scooby-Doo a couple of times as a kid and being like, what? That's not what I was expecting at all. But maybe that was just me.
Yeah. I've been watching them more a couple of years ago, so anyway, Joshua Williams, hello everyone, hope you're all well. I can't wait to talk about this episode. Yeah. Me too. Joshua Williams, I must say, does post his own reviews of Inside Number 9, and I keep forgetting to get around to watching them for this series. But I did see your first one, but yeah, do go and check out his channel. But yeah, so yeah, the twist shocked me. I don't think this episode moved me as much as it did other people on Twitter. But still, yeah, it's very, very good episode, I thought. And yeah, very different. It's definitely they're always like, if it's a comedy, it's often quite dark comedy, and then if it that's the thing. It's always funny at some level. There's always funny stuff in there. But how dramatic the episode is varies drastically, as well as like everything else in terms of genre. Of course, I remember we mentioned that like they did like Commedia dell'arte and bedroom farce mixed with Shakespeare comedy, that kind of thing. But yeah, I've never done an escape room. Have you?
I've done a few of them. I've done like 3 or 4. I've never actually managed to escape from one. We've gotten very, very close. Like, we only needed 2 or 3 other clues, but then we ran out of time, so...
So so how accurate did you was it, like, compared to your own experience?
I'd say that they are... It was accurate to like the sort of medium level escape rooms, because a lot of places that offer escape rooms offer like different levels of difficulty. I've tried a really hard one, and like we got nowhere near to solving it. So I would say that it was pretty accurate, like especially if it's one that you're going to market to like families in particular. They tend not to make it too difficult or too hard. So I thought it was good.
Hello, yes, Ross. Yeah, look at you all early. Brilliant. Oh, you're very welcome, Josh. Anyway, so yeah, let's sort of yeah, how should we do this? Let's probably do this sort of character by character. Let's start off with Reece Shearsmith's character. Can't remember. I'll have to go on names are and such. Just give me a second. I need to look it up. There we are. Yeah, where's the episode? Doug, that's the name of his character. So yeah, what did you think of Doug?
Was that the dad?
No. Wait, I thought I'd got it to another bit. I thought I got to... There he is. Reece Shearsmith's character. No. There we go. What did you think of him?
I thought that he was good in his role. I thought he was the character was well acted for its purpose. I thought that he did the whole spooky thing that the type of person that leads you into the escape room always does. I think he did a good impression of that, because they do that.
Yeah, I loved him getting so frustrated with his little torch being the wrong way up, because it's like such a great bit of character. It's like he's he's a guy trying to get work as an actor, so like this little performance bit is all he has. So he doesn't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, he's a technically not out of work actor.
Yes. It is technically work. But yeah, I think it's yes, it's a small character, but yeah, it's very well done. It's very funny. A lot of people were a lot of people sort of in the fandom were comparing it to Ollie Plimsolls from the League of Gentlemen, which is their sketch show that they started out with, and he had a character who was a theatre director of like those touring productions that perform theatre in schools, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
recall.
yeah, so he's and they actually used to do uh that kind of thing, those kind of jobs. So it's based on well, it's partially inspired by people that they know. Um but yeah, he's like very uptight and very full of himself, and yeah, it's one of my favorite. I think it's a lot of people's you know, top 10 League of Gentlemen characters. Um or at least in the fandom circles I'm in. Joshua Williams again. I really want to do an escape room. They look like fun, but it's on my list along with skydiving. Yeah, yeah. I can't believe I haven't gone in one yet, because yeah, that definitely sounds right up my street. I like Shear Smith's character in this one. The gag with the torch had me laughing constantly. Yeah, yeah, same. Um, the snarky competitiveness of him and the other escape rooms is pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah, I think that happens when you're like you're working in a small business and people come in and talk about the competitors. You know, there's slight varying degrees of passive aggressiveness when someone comes in and discusses a competitor. Um, I also like the clues he gave them, like you have enough space for a bar in there. Yeah, I love that bit. And so yeah, oh, and at the end when after the plot twist, people were also saying, "Ah, it's Dr. Flynn back," but I haven't seen. Is it TLC, the show that he plays Dr. Flynn in? Guys in the chat, help me out there, because I haven't seen that yet. Everyone recommends it on that and Chasing Shadows. That is like those are the two that all the Reece Shearsmith fans talking about. Anyway, uh, so let's move on to where's the younger one? This is so fiddly. There we go. There we are. Let's see. What's the name of the younger one? Amy, played by Maddie Evans. What do you think of her?
I mean, she came across as kind of a very anxious character. I'm not sure if the actress was playing a character that's younger than she is or something, because the character seemed like, I don't know. I thought she was. Is she supposed to be the little sister? That's sort of what I thought of the character. But maybe she's just a very nervous person. I don't know. She was pretty minor, so that's the only thought I had on her.
Yeah. I think there are there was like some lines like, oh, won't be able to do this anymore because you're going to university and Amy's growing up. So I think, yeah, I think she is supposed to be younger. Just on her IMDb now, it says she was born in 2006. So that means she's 18. If I'm not going mad. So yeah, so but I definitely get the impression that she's supposed to be playing younger than she is. But So yeah, I wasn't sure how, like from like how old the actress is and what she was saying. I wasn't exactly sure how old she was supposed to be. Anyway, I think the next most important character is probably the mum. That's the bit. That's the. There we are, the mum. Let me just check what she's called. Lynn, played by Catherine Kelly.
I thought that she was well played. She came across as very human, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got the impression she was, you got the sense that she was really struggling with something, and of course you don't know what it is until the twist comes up. But yeah, I thought she was, did a good job of showing that she was putting on a brave face, but there's something else going on. Actually, there's speaking of foreshadowing, there's a fantastic Twitter thread by Quinn, who I know on Twitter. If you've seen any of those Reece Shearsmith being angry for 9 minutes and 9 seconds videos, they're all her. And she did a Twitter thread of screenshots of things that are foreshadowing later in the episode. It's like, oh my god, this is so brilliant at that. Got a message from Joshua Williams. I was wondering if either of you have seen the 2006 Silent Hill film. This episode was giving me massive Silent Hill vibes when I first watched it. And if you haven't seen Silent Hill, I would recommend it. That's based on a video game, I think, isn't it?
Yes, I have seen it. The one with like the little daughter and they like go into like another dimension and stuff. Yeah, I've seen it. I've played the games. I've wasn't it? If I remember correctly, it was like very heavily disparaged when it came out, and then people now are sort of like reviewing it and they're like, okay, maybe it wasn't as bad as people made out. I think it's a very mid 2000s kind of movie. That's the only way I would describe it.
Yeah.
It's not what's his name, Uwe Ball level video game adaptation.
Oh, good.
It's on the upper end of video game adaptations.
Isn't he the one who boxes critics?
Yes, he is.
If you say my films are bad, I will punch you in the face, and then we will see who makes good films. No, I don't think that's how it works. Your ability to punch someone doesn't make you better at making films.
No, and apparently he he said to like some guy that he would get him a trainer, and then he just didn't. And then he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll go easy on you," and then he just didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know how legit that claim is, but that's what the guy said.
Yeah. I mean, the guy must be pretty mental anyway, so
I mean, yeah, to like box your critic because they said that your movie was bad on the internet in 2004. I think that really sets a low bar for this guy, I think. But now he owns like one of the most highly acclaimed restaurants in the US. So, good for him.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. He has like a Michelin star restaurant in the US now. He like gave up movies and went to do that instead.
Ross again. I like the way they use the question of loyalty as an ambiguous symbol of either cheating or life after his passing. Yeah, again, it's very subtle. So it's subtle enough that you think, oh, this could be the twist. It could be that she's being unfaithful.
Yeah, and
But yeah.
her saying things like "I'll always love you" and stuff like that. It really makes sense after you realize what the twist is, and because he's in a coma or like on life support, she could have already like started dating other people or something.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that. Yeah. It might not mean one or the other. It could mean both. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that. Okay. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else really to say about her, but yeah, I thought it was a very interesting role. Okay. And then so annoying, it never pauses in the right place. There we go. Let's find her with her eyes open. No, it's gonna. This is not my day. Let's try and find a thing of her later then. Let's find a picture of her in focus. In focus. There, she's in focus. Lovely. Okay, so this character was. Let me see. It must be her because it's the only one left. Millie, played by Callie Tant. No idea if I'm saying that right. But yeah, what did you think of Millie?
The older sister.
Yeah.
I thought that at first she was kind of annoying, not gonna lie. But like I don't know, because she just came across as kind of teenager in a TV show. Which I mean, some teenagers do act like that, but I
so
mean,
a bit of a spoil sport.
yeah,
like, this is crap. Why are we even doing this? Why are we having to spend time with you?
Yeah, that just reminded me of like I don't remember the name of the character, but it just reminded me of like one time one of my form tutors just played a scene from this old TV show where the child character who's played by an adult turns into a teenager and he's like really moody and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is how you guys come across to us." Sorry, that just reminded me of that. And when we were all just sitting there like, okay, like what are we supposed to say to that? But I don't know. The TV show was the teenager had red hair and he wore a baseball cap. It's a popular British TV show. I don't remember the title.
Oh, is it Kevin the Teenager?
Yes, that was it.
I was showing that at school as well.
What a coincidence! But
Yeah.
Perhaps she could, but like she could come across as like yeah, that's how she came across as like kind of this very like irritable teenager that this is the sort of behavior that is typical like thought of when you think of a teenager. But I mean, when they were talking about like going to therapy and stuff, I was like, okay, that's just kind of sad. Okay, maybe I don't dislike you as much as I did before. That's just really sad.
Yeah.
I think
there's some reason for the angst.
Yeah, and like what made me also kind of sad is that she said like, "Oh, you want me to go to therapy instead of talking to my parents?" I was like, "That's really, really sad that you feel that way." But
Oh, you turned off your mic. Oh, you've accidentally unplugged your mic. That happens when I accidentally unplug mine. Okay, well, while you work out how to reconnect your mic, I'll just go through the comments. Yes, you're right. Kevin the Teenager was played by Harry Enfield. Oh, and it looks like Soapy has gone. It's probably a connection issue. Does anyone remember when I did my one of my Inside Number 9 streams before Christmas? I'm pretty sure it's an Inside Number 9 one rather than the Chill Christmas special one. But yeah, it cut out towards the end of the stream, just before we were like, right, well, I think we're gonna wrap this up, and then I cut out, and what happened was it was a power cut or the fuse blew. So yeah, I
Sorry.
accidentally ended the stream early just because there's a power cut, and the Wi-Fi just cut out. But yeah, it was really awkward. I saw it afterwards. The the other guys in the stream being like, I guess we leave now then. I just sort of continued. It was very funny. I'm just telling the story of I accidentally left one of my live streams because of a power cut taking out my my Wi-Fi router. It's very funny.
That's very typical Britain, isn't it? Just usually the weather causing power cuts.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it was Harry Enfield. That makes a lot more sense actually.
Yeah.
I only really know Harry Enfield, obviously apart from that show.
Mm.
The only other thing I know him for is Loads of Money. So
Let's see.
Oh, sorry. Before I accidentally got my mic unplugged. I just wanted to say, when she said, "Oh, you want me to talk to a therapist rather than my parents," I thought like you should be able to talk to your parents about some things, but there are there's a certain benefit that you can only get from a therapist, right? There's some things that your parents just can't do, right? Even if your parents are therapists, like they just can't provide I'm trying to think of the right word, help. I'll just use the word help in the same way that a therapist with a purely professional relationship with you can offer. So
ironically they've already had an episode about therapists earlier in this series, actually.
Oh, really?
A few weeks ago. Yeah, very good. But yeah, a therapist shouldn't be a surrogate for talking to your parents, and talking to your parents should be a surrogate for going to a therapist, really, should it?
No.
So yeah, Ross again. I wonder whether they overplayed her sarcastic teen persona as a representation of how he sees her, considering it's all happening in his head. Ooh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. But it didn't seem that severe. Yeah, I think it's because it's only really like the first impression of her where you think that. Yeah, I think Millie was total brat at first. Yeah, you get that. That's
I mean, I think for a lot of teenagers, the irritable persona is sort of a defense mechanism, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
I think that like perhaps she just wants to come off as standoffish. I think that's maybe the point.
Which makes sense in the situation we know that she's in real life. I mean, she's obviously very sort of touchy and defensive when that male nurse said, "I'm sure he's very proud of you." She's like, "How the fuck would you know?"
I know.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because like we know the source of her angst now in retrospect.
I mean, even under the assumption that her dad was unfaithful to her mum, the angst made sense to me. Especially if she was being being reactive towards her dad in particular would make sense in both scenarios. Like that, unfortunately, that's just how some people deal with grief, right? Just being angry at especially if it's a parent. Some people just respond by being angry for their loved one for being sick or for dying because they left them. I don't know, that was very dark. That was a very dark thought, but that's just something.
I mean, it's a very dark episode, so fair enough. But yeah, it's. I think I heard it's something to do with the loss of a parent affects a child at different ages. So, like at one age, they feel angry when the parent dies, and they feel like the parents abandoned them, even though they know that's not true. And then I think at different ages it has like a different effect on the child. But but the scene between Millie and her dad, the conversation about her letting go of the sides was heartbreaking. Yeah, that was such a sweet scene. And then at the end, you see he's got a picture of that in his room, and it's in a star-shaped frame. So that's why the passcode he needed to get was star. That's brilliant. Hello, Tim. I don't think we've had you before. Hello. I want to do an escape room. Yeah, me too. Yes, it's a Harry Enfield reference. I haven't seen much of his show. But I've caught it a couple of times. But yeah, that's funny. I'm considerably richer than you. That's the accent, isn't it? They do scouse for that. But yeah, hello. But yeah, he's Harry Enfield's also in. I don't know if you've seen Soapy the Windsors. That's a good show. I haven't seen it in ages, but I saw like the first 2 series and I thought it was good.
Oh, yes, I've seen it. I just didn't know that a lot of these things were like Harry Enfield, because as I said, the only thing I really know is Harry Enfield is loads of money. So
yeah, he's Charles in that, and you should look up his IMDb. He's been in plenty of stuff. I actually spotted him in Filthy Rich and Cat Flap, which I reviewed a few weeks ago. He was in that in a little role sort of just when he was an up and comer. Locked in a coma and being buried alive are my 2 worst nightmares. Yeah. That's Inside Number 9 definitely taps into people's worst nightmares.
I don't know, being falsely accused of killing a dog and then being killed for that is up there, I think.
Yeah, it's giving us new phobias.
Definitely.
Hello, Pocket Watch. I don't think you've been here before. Hello. Me and my wife were not expecting that guilt punch of a twist. We thought it would be a horror. Yeah, it definitely looked like it was going to be some sort of horror, didn't it? Yeah, so I don't think we really have anything else to say about Millie, but yeah, I think really interesting character, and let's get a good shot of the dad. This whole scene I thought was just so lovely. The scene between the two of them.
Is the dad in something? Is the dad in something? Sorry, is he from something?
I mean, he was in the last episode.
No, but I mean, like, is he Craig from? Sorry, he looks like Craig.
From what?
From, I don't know, one of these soap operas, Coronation Street. I don't know, like one of the, maybe it's just
Benidorm. He's in Benidorm.
Okay, maybe they just look kind of similar, and they're both ginger. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just who I thought of when I saw him. You know.
Yeah, well,
maybe it's just because like
Steve Pemberton's been in loads of things. People, because he was on this series of Taskmaster, and then people were I remember people were saying when he was announced, "Oh, I don't recognize anyone in this cast" on Twitter, and I'm like, I'm sorry, how could you not? He's been in, like, if you look at, same with Reece Shearsmith, you look at their IMDb pages, it just shows you how well respected they are as actors, because obviously they write stuff for themselves. But in the meantime, they are so busy with work. That they must be. You could see how well respected they are as actors, and presumably as writers as well, because people would want to hire actors whose work they like as writers as well. But yeah, you can see, how many people want to hire them. But yeah, he's done loads of things. He was in an episode of Doctor Who.
Maybe that's where I know him from. Okay,
Silence in the Library, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember that. That episode was really scary. I remember being really scared of that as a kid.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since it came out. I haven't seen pretty much all of most Doctor Who I haven't seen since it came out. I'm planning on revisiting it.
I have a few Doctor Who reviews planned for the future.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm not sure if I should spoil what they are, but well, actually, I'll spoil one of them. I plan on reviewing the episode that, like, as a kid, it made me consider like not watching Doctor Who anymore because it scared me so much.
Ooh.
And I'm not sure if it's actually like considered scary by like a lot of people because I just haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. It was the one where they're like in an acid mine, like, or a mining facility, and they like it's with the 11th Doctor, and like they have like these um copies of themselves that become sentient, and
The
that was
Flesh, is
really
it called?
scary. Sorry, what?
Isn't it called The Flesh or something?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
white
that
thing.
episode was
Yeah.
really scary to me back in the day. I remember me and my brother just crying, just crying about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because you're quite a bit younger than me, aren't you? Because I would have been, don't know how old I would have been at the time, but I would have I think I would have been in my early teens by then. But yeah, I remember that being freaky. But I didn't watch Doctor Who until series 3. It started about halfway through when Martha came along. I'd seen some episodes earlier than that. My first 2 episodes are actually Love and Monsters and Fear Her, which
The interesting introductions to the show.
yeah, I think I remember like enjoying it at the time, but I don't know if the fact that I didn't sort of keep watching the series was me not
Love
being a
and
fan of those
Monsters.
episodes, but I think it's more likely just the fact that I wasn't very aware of TV schedules as a kid.
Love and
Um,
Monsters is just such a questionable episode. Like,
uh,
honestly, I think people hate on it too much. It's just some of the writing choices, some of the dialogue. I don't know what was going on there. But like, actually, the one of the actresses in that was also in Topsy Turvy, which is a movie that I mentioned last week. Sorry, I just thought of that. But the first episode of Doctor Who that I watched was actually the Lazarus Experiment.
oh, yes,
But I watched it when it came out, and I was really small then, and I remember being terrified of that episode was really scary. And then the
it is a
second
scary one.
episode that I watched was the Christmas one where they were on the Titanic, and I was like, okay, this is kind of scary, but I'm kind of enjoying it. So, and then I told my mum, oh, I'm watching Doctor Who, and then my mum's like, I used to watch Doctor Who, but that was like 25 years ago. And at the time, it was Tom Baker instead. You should watch that because it's less scary. So then, that's how I became a Whovian.
Yeah, I've barely seen any classic Who, and it's mainly because like when I was in my sort of Doctor Who phase, the only way you could watch, or the only way I knew of that you could watch classic Who, because of course there are alternative means on the internet, but I wouldn't have known how to do that at that time. Yeah, the only way I knew of how to watch Doctor Who was that, like, getting the DVDs, and of course if you get the DVD, you have to get it comes in like not necessarily a full series box set, but it's a serial, but so yeah, I didn't have that growing up when I was in my Doctor Who phase, so I just saw those like compilations of so I'd pretty much seen the clips of the Doctor's post regeneration. That's pretty much what I
Classic.
like. Yeah, it's Tom Baker skipping and changing into a clown costume.
Yeah, yeah.
John Pertwee saying shoes.
Yes, yes, of
That's
course.
that. That's pretty much all the new Who I saw, but yeah, I am planning on fixing that at some point. But yeah, I really but yeah, so I remember my so I so when I properly started watching Doctor Who, I would have been around 8 or 9, I think. I'm just trying to work it out, uh but yeah, I remember I couldn't watch Doctor Who at my cousins because they saw my uncle was talking about it the other day. He was like, yeah, it's people being eaten by bins. They had nightmares of like not having any more of that. And so I realized, okay, so I think my cousins, the eldest would have been around like 8, and then the youngest I think would have been around like 4 or 3 or something. So yeah, that would have been very scary.
Yeah,
But
it'd be
yeah,
me
it's like,
with
yeah, it was
nothing.
Bin's eating people, and my dad was like, "No, those are Daleks. What are you on about?" It's like, no. This is something different.
Something I actually found interesting about Doctor Who is that like one of the people who played the Master in classic Doctor Who is actually a very famous opera singer.
Ah,
He's a very famous comic opera singer.
that's interesting.
Like, have you ever heard of the opera The Sorcerer?
No, I'm not very familiar with opera.
Okay, but he's known for like playing the comic role. And I didn't make the connection when I was younger, and then I only realized it recently, and I was like, oh, it's that guy. Now I sorry, I'm just reading. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Going back to the Lazarus experiment, Mark Gatiss, who was the professor who turned himself young in that, he's known either as people recognize him, I think, mainly as Mycroft from Sherlock. He's written extensively for Doctor Who in both episodes and books and straight to video films in the 90s. At least I think it's 2 or 3 of them have Reece Shearsmith in. I haven't seen them yet. But anyway, but yeah, he started out in the League of Gentlemen with Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton.
What a good loop around. What a good
Yeah. See, we always get back on topic in the end.
yes. Eventually.
Yeah. Oh, missed quite a bit of stuff in the chat. Let's see. Soapy, have you not seen every episode of Inside Number 9 yet? This is Soapy's second episode, Ross.
I'm sorry. I hope you guys can forgive me. I'm sorry.
Well, Ross, unless something has changed in recent times, Ross has not seen League of Gentlemen or Psychoville, so you'd have no reason to apologize. Was Steve Pemberton wearing a prosthetic mask? In what? In this or in Doctor Who? I have no idea if it was in Doctor Who. The Almost People. Yeah, that was the name of the Flesh episode, isn't it? I love the episode Silence in the Library. I want them both to be in House of Dragon. They would have been great in that show. Yeah, I haven't seen that because I'm not into Game of Thrones, but I mean they're great in everything. Let's see. Shirley Henderson. Who's Shirley Henderson? The name rings a bell. It's probably someone we were talking about just now, and they were just telling us who it is. Oh yes, the actress from the Love and Monsters episode. Yeah, the one who plays the sort of quiet, mousy characters. She was the ghost, wasn't she? She was Moaning Myrtle in. She was in Topsy Turvy and Love and Monsters. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Lexi. I see someone joining us from Twitter. The first episode of Doctor Who I saw was Rose. I remember watching it when it first aired. I have been hooked ever since. Yeah, I need to properly sit down and watch it New Who from the beginning. I'm planning on doing that at some point. I don't know if I'll go through Classic Who in order when I eventually get round to it. But yeah, with New Who, I want watch it from the
So,
beginning.
sorry, I just want to say the only issue with doing Classic Who in order is that it's very difficult to review the first Doctor and the second Doctor because so many of their episodes are missing.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Which is pretty a shame because I really like the second Doctor. But
yeah. Fun fact: if there are any fans of Rick Mail watching, the guy, one of Patrick Troughton's sons, I can't remember which one because he has two sons who are actors. One of Patrick Troughton's sons is plays Piers Fletcher Dervish in The New Statesman, which is a Rick Mail sitcom. I'm probably going to do that for next Rick May because partially because so many people were suggesting it in the it's a shame because it's about politics. It would be really topical considering we have an election in a month. But that it ran for 4 series and there are so many side characters and things, so I think I would need a year to
wait, I know this is really bad for me to say, but we have an election in a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
4th of July. Nice, easy date to remember.
Okay, right. 4th
okay, July.
Good to know.
So yeah. If you're not registered to vote, make sure you are.
I am. I don't keep up with politics, so I didn't know.
Oh, to be blissfully ignorant.
I don't know. It just seems like a lot of drama, especially with the state of the House of Lords. I don't know if you've seen the Dodgy Dave clip, but
Oh, has somebody used the Dodgy Dave insult again?
No. But I mean, like, since then, I've just been kind of like, these are the people that are running our country.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's not get political.
Yeah. Back to Doctor Who. Tom Baker is the best Doctor. I feel like it when I do watch him, he will definitely be in like my top 3. I've just there's a fantastic bit of footage that I saw. I think it's one of those like BBC Archive channels or something of him visiting a school in Australia. And it's just the sweetest clip, and the children are asking him questions. He just comes in with this giant grin on his face, and the children start laughing because it says, "Hello, I've seen you through the television, and you've seen me, haven't you?" It was just so lovely.
I mean, that was a really good Tom Baker impression, I think.
Oh, thank you.
He has a very distinctive voice.
Yes. Would you like a jelly baby?
Yes. I actually started eating jelly babies only because of him. They're okay. They're decent. They're fine. They're eatable. They're edible.
Yeah, my brother loves Classic Who. He can do a good Tom Baker impression. My first actor to play the Doctor that I saw was Peter Cushing in The Invasion of the Daleks. My uncle showed it to me and it traumatized me. I laughed at that film, but when I was a child, it was nightmare fuel.
To be fair, in those movies, the Daleks are literally gas people instead of like just like the laser. So I would be scared too if I saw it when I was younger.
Yeah,
but I do know
how that came about. Like in terms of like a copyright thing, because I'm just kind of curious as to how that came about, really. But I remember seeing a bit of it like as it was ending on TV once, and I remember seeing Bernard Cribbin in it and recognizing him from the Railway Children. It was before he turned up in Doctor Who. But I was like, oh, it's him from the Railway Children. Random fun facts about Bernard Cribbins: he appeared on Jackanory the most out of the how long the show ran. I think it did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory twice. I know Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was done twice on Jackanory. But
that book is way shorter than I remember it being.
Pardon?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is way shorter of a book than I remember it being. It's only about 100 pages.
Yeah, I can't. I reread a load of Roald Dahl during the pandemic, but I can't remember if I reread that one. I definitely reread Danny the Champion of the World, which I think is my favorite. It's just a beautiful book.
I think that my favorite is probably The Witches, which I think was foreshadowing for the kind of person that I would become.
Yeah, or already into
the spooky stuff. But that reminds me. Sorry, I just saw a comment. The latest comment by Lexi Boehm. That reminds me. Peter Cushing. I knew him from the Hammer horror films because he was like Van Helsing and Frankenstein. So when I saw him as like the Doctor, I was like, okay, this is a thing. This is a thing, I guess. Why is Van Helsing the Doctor? I don't know, but I'll just roll with it. I think the best part of those movies is when some aliens that are being like held prisoner pull a Dalek across a spaceship hallway, and it sort of falls through the hallway, and then there's a very obvious dent in the wall where it's like hit the wall because the films were so low budget and from the mid-60s. I thought that was rather funny.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we've got a lot of comments to get through. Looking at where they were. Mark Gatiss was in an episode of Inside Number 9 called Merrily Merrily, which was filmed on the body of water, also used in a Doctor Who episode. Oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, that's a really good one. It's one that's they do episodes that are like very, very slightly meta. Like Mark Gatiss, who they met at university, they ended up doing an episode about university friends. And what's her name? I can't remember the actress's name, but the one who plays Philomena Kunk, she's in that as well. It's a very good episode. Doctor Who episode Sleep No More was written by Gatiss and has Shearsmith in it. Yes, and I haven't seen that one. I would have remembered it if I saw it when it came out, but that was around the time I'd started sort of not really catching up with Doctor Who. I think my brother was more into it than I was at that time. But yeah, I wasn't really paying that much attention because I know it's a found footage, and I would definitely have remembered that. But yeah, I am planning on watching it. I know it wasn't very well received, was it? But yeah, I am.
Is that the one with the Sandmen?
Yes, I think so.
I sort of vaguely remember it. And I remember being like, okay, this is a thing. But like I was sort of getting out of Doctor Who as well by that point. So I sort of stopped watching it around the 12th Doctor.
Yeah, same here. I didn't watch any of the series with Bill in it, but I came back to watch Peter Capaldi's last episode, and then I didn't see anything of Doctor Who until the anniversary specials, and I wasn't even planning on watching them. I was actually kind of pissed off that it was like, oh, they've brought back David Tennant and Catherine Tate, right? Okay.
It felt very. Really, I agree. It did. At first it did come across as kind of like pandering, like
yes,
just getting them back.
And I feel like, especially with the way that show business works today, in terms of like, obviously mainly with blockbusters, that's it. Nostalgia is being used as a currency now, and I think people are really sick of being pandered to. But yeah, I watched it and I really enjoyed being pandered to.
I mean, I like Catherine Tate and I like David Tennant as actors, and I like Peter Capaldi as an actor. And I feel kind of bad that I sort of got out of Doctor Who during his run because he watched Doctor Who from the beginning, so clearly he is a fan of the show, and it made me feel kind of sad. But
yeah, I absolutely love him as a Doctor. I really want to. One of the reasons I really want to revisit New Who is because around the time I stopped watching, I was a teenager, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't as good as Doctor Who in my day." And I'm like, right. Now I'm looking back, and I'm like, okay, so was the show getting worse? And I think that is kind of I don't know if that's a general consensus, but it is a consensus that it got worse when Moffat started writing for it. But I was just like, what? There's I remember loads of hard hitting moments in his run. So I'm just like, okay, so was it actually bad, or was it just me being older and getting more critical? I imagine it's a bit of both.
I think that like just like and I mean, even classic Who had like bad episodes or like sillier episodes that were much more poorly received. But like, and I think this was an issue with classic Who towards the end. When you have a show that goes on for so long, you can't like you have to sort of start doing different things or sometimes repeating ideas because the show has been going on for so long. And I mean, like, I don't know. This just reminds me of when in Classic Who, when people were sort of hating on the Sixth Doctor's run. I don't know if you know much about that, but
Yeah, I know a bit about the history, and he's the only actor to have ever been fired as the Doctor, isn't he?
I think so, yes. But like when you watch some of the episodes, I don't think there is like all of like I don't think, oh, he's the worst Doctor ever. I think that they made the show more violent during his run. Like there was blood on screen and stuff like that.
And he was strangling people.
Yeah.
I just kind of have sort of the most archetypal sort of general knowledge of the Doctors. So, you know, Sylvester McCoy plays the spoons, and
A question mark umbrella.
Six strangles people.
Yes, pretty much. And
Five is
like,
young and likes cricket.
and I really feel like during Six's run, they were sort of getting sick of writing. Like the writers were sort of getting sick of writing for Doctor Who, and they were sort of setting up the show for failure. I think that's the general consensus, anyway.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because
I
they
met a guy who. Oh, sorry. Continue.
sorry, I was going to say that's why like after number 4, 4 was sort of the Fourth Doctor was sort of the peak of the show. That's when it had the highest budget and stuff. 5 was also quite popular, but the budget like decreased as his run went along, and then at the point of 6 and then going on to 7, they were really sort of making the show very cheap. Like they really decreased the budget a lot. I also think that's one of the main criticisms of Six's run, is that the show looks very, very cheap, even for a sci-fi TV show at the time. And it's a shame because it got cancelled in the middle. Like they never got a proper send-off with 7 because the BBC just decided that they would just stop the show. And the ratings of the show actually increased during 7's run, which I think is like, it doesn't make sense why you just cut the show off then. But
yeah.
I wish that they like just I don't know. I wish they gave 7 a proper send off. I liked him as a Doctor, even with stupid episodes like the Candy Man. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I've seen pictures of that.
It's not good. It depends how you define good. Okay, it's entertaining. It's funny. It's really, really funny. But it's if we think trying to analyze the episode as like a serious Doctor, it's not good. But it's funny. So, and I like Ace. Okay, I like Ace.
Putesh, Alan Bastard is awesome. Yes, I can't believe people aren't talking about the New Statesman more. When I did, well, Rick May's only just finished because I released Rick Mail out of context compilation to go with my Grim Tales video today. But yeah, the show that people talked about in the comments the most by far was the New Statesman, and I think it's partially because, of course, Bottom and the young ones are more famous, but it was the longest running sitcom Rick Mail was in. He wasn't the writer of that one. That was Marks and Gran are their surnames. It's like Maurice and Lawrence, and I can't match the first names to the second names, but anyway. But yeah, it ran for 4 series, 2 specials, and a segment on one of the earliest comic reliefs that I haven't been able to find. I am so pissed off I'm not able to watch that because it's like a short at the end of comic relief, but I'm just like, I don't care. This is an episode on IMDb. I want to watch it. We only have like a few seconds of it on YouTube. I'm so annoyed. But anyway, But yeah, it's because it was so topical, and more so than like Yes Minister or the thick of it, because they reference Thatcher, they mention politicians by name, and yeah, there is plenty of stuff that goes over my head, but it is just so fun to watch. It is. And a lot of the criticism of the Conservatives hasn't aged a day. His speech on the NHS is so brilliant. He says, in the old days, you were poor, you got sick, and you died. All the strain on the NHS. Let's just get rid of the NHS. And it's like, oh my God, this is like Nostradamus. But yeah, I can't wait. I've restarted. Didn't completely finish watching The New Statesman. I just started series 4, but I've just started to rewatch it from the beginning because yeah, I really love that show, and there's so much to talk about, especially with the queer representation in series 1. There is a trans character and a lesbian character in series 1 that one of the trans character isn't in the show after series 1, and Alan's wife no longer is having an affair with a woman. She has affairs with men, but she is a canon bisexual, especially because in the live shows she's also having an affair with a woman. I think that there's literally only like someone's 2004 video camera clips of it, but of the live shows. But anyway, I'm going from tangent to tangent now, but yeah, fantastic series, The New Statesman. I will definitely be discussing it. Obviously, like I said, I don't think I'll review it until next year. But if you haven't seen it, check it out because it is wonderful. Anyway, apologies. I'm going back through the chat to. So sorry, this is taking way too long. What do you think of the finale of Inside Number 9 is going to be like? There's no synopsis, but it's called Plodding On. I've discussed it a couple of times before, either here or like on Reddit or something. I think it's going to be a meta episode, and people on Reddit have gone, what? You mean like we're going to talk to the audience? And I'm like, well, they have done episodes where they do that. But anyway, no, I don't think it's going to be that kind of meta. I think it's going to be meta the same way that Merrily is also about some school friends, and they are not school friends, university friends, and they are university friends. And the same way that Bernie Clifton's Dressing Room is about two guys who have written and performed together for years, and they are two guys who've written and performed together for years. They've written a highly successful show that has crazy fans. That's Simon Says. Soapy, that's a brilliant one to watch. Simon Says it's about fan culture, and it's brilliant. But
I'll be sure to check it out.
Yeah, I put this up earlier, but I wasn't really reading it. Amicus Productions bought the rights from the BBC. It was quite a common thing back in the day for studios to adapt TV shows and radio plays. So yeah, let's talk about the title there. Oh yeah, let's talk about Hammer earlier, weren't we? But yeah, Amicus does ring a bell. I don't know if anyone noticed but in the opening of this episode, the 9 is on a sticky note, and the note is shaped like a face. I spotted when I had it up earlier that it had like eyes and yeah, it's got I can see it like with the 9 as like the circle of the 9 is the mouth. Yeah, I see what you mean there, but I had noticed the eyes, and there's definitely a sense of that they're being watched. Oh, this is interesting. So let's talk about Plodding On, the title of the final episodes. The title contains an acronym of their 3 TV shows: League of Gentlemen, Log, Psychoville, P, and Inside Number 9, In. Take those letters away from the title and you're left with a single word. I'm too tired and confused to work out. Oh, there we are. Odd. An apt description of these shows. Yes. Hadn't thought of it like that. I'm more convinced than ever that this final episode will be a super crossover of the 3 series. Yeah, people have been saying, what if, because they did an episode, Soapy, that I don't mind spoiling this for you because I think it's better to watch Psychoville first. But they did a surprise episode of Inside Number 9.
I have seen Psycho.
Oh, have you? Wonderful.
Yeah, but
so they
only like a sorry.
No, sorry. Continue.
I was going to say like I've seen it like in passing. Like I've seen like episodes of the show, but like I wasn't like super invested in it or anything.
Oh,
but I like the show. I like the show, but I just wasn't like a huge I wasn't like a huge fan of it. But like I didn't dislike it. I just like I wasn't super invested at the time.
Was that like when it came out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think I just wasn't watching as much media at the time.
Yeah, well, you'd be welcome to come on whenever I end up doing series 2 of Psychoville, because I don't know if you know, I do live streams about Psychoville, so you'd be welcome to come and do the watch parties. It's basically like this. So you'll be welcome to join me for series 2 of that.
All right, I'd be happy to do that because I wouldn't be like in a non-expert, unlike here.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, they did a surprise episode of Inside Number 9 where it started out like a regular episode, but it turned out it was a continuation of Psychoville. And while Psychoville, it doesn't end on a cliff. It ended with story threads that could have done with wrapping up, but it didn't end on as much of a cliffhanger as series 1, and they didn't get recommissioned for a 3rd series. So this was kind of the wrapping up 2 of their most popular characters. But yeah, so now people are convinced that they're going to do a League of Gentlemen episode, but only 7 years ago, they brought back League of Gentlemen for its 20th anniversary, and they did 3 specials and a live tour. And I feel like, you know, as much as there is a cliffhanger at the end of the specials, but if you consider the live shows canon, which you shouldn't, then it got resolved. But anyway, but yeah, so some people really want it to be a crossover with that. I wouldn't. I'd like this to be its own thing, and that's not because of what I thought of Death Be Not Proud, although I think I should give Death Be Not Proud a second chance. It's literally the only episode of Inside Number 9 I did not like, but I think that's because I had very strong feelings about Psychoville. But yeah, I wouldn't like that for a final episode. I'm sure I'll love it whatever they do, but personally, I wouldn't like that. Yeah, it sounds kind of sad. Yeah. Diane Morgan, yes, that's the actress who plays Philomena Kunk. Philomena Kunk is amazing. Yeah, I need to watch more of that because yeah, it is hilarious. By the way, if you like Philomena Kunk, do check out Kevin Turvey or my review about Kevin Turvey, because that did remind me of Philomena Kunk a bit. In this supermarket, there is food. Why is that? Because if it isn't, for most of these people, going to the supermarket would be a completely wasted journey. That reminded me of Philomena Kunk a bit. I reckon the finale will be a 2-hander between just them, but that's as far as my theorizing goes. Yeah, I think that we've already had a sort of 2-hander episode in this series, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think a 2-hander would go down really well. I can't imagine it being an episode where one of them has a much bigger role than the other. And I can't. Some people saying, "Oh, maybe it'll be a sequel to another episode." I don't think it would be that, and I mean, I wouldn't like that personally. But like, I mean, if any of those ideas turn out to be true, I'm sure I'd like it. But personally, that's not what I want. I like the fact that they're all self-contained, and they actually considered Mr. King to be a sequel. They originally thought of it as being a sequel to Tom and Jerry, and they decided not to. So yeah, I don't think it would be. I think it would be also weird to single out an episode and be like, right, this is an episode that we want to continue, because that's like sort of seeing an episode as more important. And I definitely would have been to 12 Days of Christine. I'm not going to explain the whole Reese versus 12 Days of Christine thing now, because yeah. People leaving Doctor Who just before Heaven Sent is heartbreaking. I'm on sort of Doctor Who Twitter now, and everyone's talking about Heaven Sent. Yeah, I must watch it. I know people consider it to be one of the best. I go back to Inside Number 9 now. They're showing the final episode to a live cinema audience. I'm so pissed off. I almost got a ticket for that. Almost. Because it's annoying, because you know the tickets are going to go so quickly, but you're like, but okay, but am I working that day? Will I be able to get that? You have to go, no! Think about that later once you've got the ticket. But I didn't do that, and literally whilst I was getting a ticket, like whilst I was on the page, they sold out. So so I'm on the waiting list, and hopefully I'll get a ticket that way. But yeah. Capaldi was the best Doctor. You know, I haven't rewatched Doctor Who in ages, but I think if I did, I would say the same. I think he's, yeah, I think probably. And you know, I'm saying that as someone whose first Doctor was David Tennant, and you know, absolutely loved him. But yeah, I think.
I'm sorry. I'll always be a Tom Baker stan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Fair dues. They're doing a West End theatrical show called Stage Fright next year. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to go, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that's really exciting, and I'm really happy that that's happening. There is a stage show in China as well. I think I might have finished, because it was like a month or two ago that pictures came out about it. But this is going to be a new show, Stage Fright. But yeah, that's the one in China was a Chinese cast recreating episodes of Inside Number 9, because yeah, it's very popular in China. I always forget that it's not just like the same 9 people on Twitter who watch Inside Number 9. They're like other people who are fans of it, which is why everything sells out so quickly. I saw Joel, if anyone is going. Yeah, is that for I'm guessing for the screening, because I think there might still be tickets for the stage show. I'm not sure. Yeah, cheapest £28. That tends to be the cheapest now, isn't it? Back to Doctor Who. I thought Neil Patrick Harris as a Tory maker was fun in one of the anniversary episodes. Yes, oh my god, I had Spice Up Your Life stuck in my head for weeks. But yeah, I thought he was that whole scene is just brilliant. Far superior to There's Only a Twist at the End. I can't put into words how much I hate There's Only a Twist at the End. But everyone is going to be part of a live Inside Number 9 episode, and that means a 50% chance of death. Yeah, maybe the screening room is called 9, and then maybe we all die. Getting to London and staying in London is a bigger problem for me. On the positive side, 50% chance of surviving. Anyway, I'll try and skip ahead a little bit in the chat. Plodding on sounds kind of sad. Would be cool if they could take the bus instead of walking. Again, this is a joke I do not have time to explain. But someone on IMDb uploaded the bus episode picture for Plodding On. I think it was someone on Twitter doing it for a laugh, because anyone can update IMDb. But people are like, wait, is it going to be of course it's not the bus episode. Maybe it is, though. I can't say anything for certain with Inside Number 9. I could say this would be a totally ridiculous idea and they would never do it, but they could. I don't know. I can't say for certain that they wouldn't do anything. But yeah, also plodding on, maybe that's how they feel with the show, that they're just keeping going. But I mean, I have seen some people say that there's been like a decline in quality. I don't think there has been. I think the more of as someone who's watched a lot of the show out of order, I think you become attuned to their style of writing. So whilst the twists themselves might be shocking, I think that the show kind of it becomes less shocking the more you watch it, and I don't think that's because, as someone who's watched it out of order, I don't think that it's got better over time. I mean, some of the weaker episodes I think are in series 1. So
I mean, I think for most things, the first sort of series or first movie in a series of movies tends to be the best or the worst one. And it's not that surprising when it's the worst one, because everyone has to start somewhere. Like for me, it's not a problem as long as the show is as long as it's like enjoyable.
Yeah. I would say that's not necessarily true of Inside Number 9, though. Although I do know people who don't like Sardines, which is the very first episode, like George from Headphones UK, who I do the Psychoville streams with. He was a massive fan of League of Gentlemen and Psychoville, and then he watched the first episode of Inside Number 9, which is Sardines, which is that it's kind of awkward comedy with something sinister going on underneath that you don't really know what's happening until the twist. But he just found it so ordinary compared to what they'd done in the past, and he turned off before he watched before he got to the twist. But yeah, awkward comedy is an acquired taste, so I understand people not getting into it from there. But I'd say I wouldn't say the show has got weaker as it's gone on. I think that people become, I don't know, more attuned or more desensitized to the show. But I don't think that I think that the thing of the show getting worse over the time, I don't think is a thing, personally at least. But anyway,
I was going to say awkward comedy is a hard sell anyway, so.
Yeah, and they do it very well in that episode. I did see a review of that episode where someone had said, I don't usually like awkward comedy, but they've done it really well here. But yeah, it's quite ordinary. And I have seen some people be like, well, where was the joke here? And it's like, the awkward silence is the joke. There's no punchline. The awkward silence is the punchline. But anyway, back to this. Sorry if you're commenting important things in real time. I just don't want to miss anyone's comments. Plod is also an old-fashioned name for a police officer. Very true. It could be about the police. I've been secretly hoping for the bus episode, but I can't say it can never expect it to ever happen. I joined the fandom just after the bus episode incident, so maybe if I got into it before, then maybe I'd be disappointed that they didn't do the bus episode. I know some people who were interested in old comedy would have been interested in the bus episode, but I heard about 3x3 in the news, and I instantly was like, I have to watch this. I'd seen Sardines, but I hadn't seen anything else. But so yeah, I watched 3x3 and then went back to Quiet Night In. And those were great back to back, because I think also because it was such a shocking, to me at least at the time. I don't think I'd be shocked by it now. But the ending of 3x3 was so shocking that I felt the relief more when I was watching Quiet Night In straight after that, because it's slapstick. Inside Number 9 is the best thing on British TV in the last decade. I can't say I've watched much TV in the last decade, but I think it's the best TV show I've ever seen ever. It's just fucking brilliant.
I mean, do you count Netflix as TV? I've heard some people count streaming services as TV.
Yeah, I do count streaming services as TV. I think the content they produce is the same. I might have a bigger budget, but that's pretty much it. You could say the same for, I don't know, HBO in the States having a bigger budget for their shows. So yeah, I'd call their shows television. And some people don't call like anime television, like anime series. I'm like, yeah, it does. It does count as television. It airs on TV. But anyway, Plodding On is what Love's Great Adventure's working title was, according to Reece Shearsmith. Oh, was it? I must watch the BFI interview. When I saw the I don't know if I mentioned to you, Soapy, but they showed 2 episodes of the show early at the BFI in March, which they have done every year as a preview for the show. The BFI in South Bank. I managed to get a ticket for it literally the week before. I was so happy. But anyway,
I remember you mentioning this.
Yes. So anyway, the interview. Oh, I think I said because the interview is now on YouTube, and I still haven't got around to watching it. But I'm really excited to watch that again. And I think there'll be a sense of disassociation. I don't think I will have believed that I was there, but I was. Anyway, I'm hoping for one last pure horror episode, like the harrowing from back in series 1. Yeah, they definitely do. They tend to do really dark episodes as the last episode. I can't remember. Were we discussing this last week, Sophie?
Yes. Also, on that note, I wanted to mention when the Doctor Death character was on screen, it just reminded me of what's his name, Dr. Satan in House of a Thousand Corpses. Like the lighting and get up reminded me of it. If you're squeamish, I don't recommend it. It has Dwight from The Office in it before he was Dwight from The Office.
I must watch more horror. I pretty much hadn't watched any horror until it's like number 9, pretty much. But I was probably like Quiet Place is the only horror film I'd really seen.
I'm so sorry.
I'm definitely planning on changing that. So if anyone has any recommendations, then
that's one of my movie opinions that will get me like Flynn, entangled. I don't like A Quiet Place, but do you mind spoilers in general or for this movie?
I mean, I don't know if it's a film you recommend, then I guess it'd probably be ideal to not spoil it.
Okay, fair enough. But it is by Rob Zombie.
Oh yes, I've heard of him. He was a musician first, wasn't he?
Yeah, I have one of his albums. If you ever look up his music, it won't be surprising. Basically, all of that album is just like references to old horror movies. His movies, particularly the older ones, are edited like just like his music videos. But it's like for 2.5 hours, not 2.5, 1.5 hours. Yeah, that movie's very questionable in general. Although originally Universal like they refused to fund the movie because they were like, okay, this movie is like way too violent, we're not funding it. But now they have like an attraction based on it at Universal Studios, apparently.
Oh.
If you want to learn more about horror just in general, I recommend the channel Dead Meat. I'm subscribed to them.
Oh, that rings a bell. They do kill counts, don't they?
They don't just do kill counts, but that's what they're known for. They also do
like their video on their kill count of killer clowns from outer space, which I absolutely love. I love that movie. I did a review of it ages ago. It's one of my least performing videos, I think, just because it's not the kind of thing I usually cover. But I do love that
watched film. It. Sorry, I said I watched it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's really good.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Inside Number 9. Next week's is definitely a pure horror. I've only seen the poster because it gave horror vibes. I've been avoiding stuff since then. By the way, the person who did the poster, I can't remember her name. I feel really bad. I can't remember her name, but I follow her on Twitter. I met her at the BFI briefly. She's absolutely lovely. But yeah, she was I think discovered through Twitter, through her fan art on Twitter, and now she's made an official poster for the show. Because I don't know if you know, Soapy, they make official posters for each episode.
Oh.
Hello? Looks like we've got.
Oh, sorry. I accidentally muted myself. I said I didn't know that they did that. That sounds very, very cool.
Yeah, I probably mentioned it last time. I interviewed the guy who commissioned the posters for Series 1 and worked on the websites for Psychoville, but I've got like a month of videos finished now, guys, so I think I'm gonna have a go at that. I'll be honest, guys, I get just very anxious and self-conscious when I edit that video. But I should have it out. I should start working on it again soon, so hopefully it should be out sooner rather than later. And of course, because it takes a long time, there's the pressure to have shorter stuff out before then. But like I said, I've got about a month of videos done now, which I'm very happy with. So I'm going to use that time wisely. Anyway, Al Campbell, Barry Shitpeas, also from Charlie Brooker, is a director in Inside Number 9. I need to watch with Charlie Brooker. That show he did with Julian Barrett in the lead role. I watched an episode of that and thought it was good and didn't get around to watching the rest of it. Nathan Barley, that's it. I must watch Nathan Barley. If it turns out to be a sequel, that would feel a little cheap. Like it would completely miss the point of what makes the show so great anyway. Yeah, I agree. Eddie Marston is in next week's episode and tweeted it is a horror. That's it. That's funny. I think Tom and Jerry and Mr. King are on the same level of greatness. Yeah, both really brilliant. Unfortunately, I had Mr. King's smile spoiled for me. I think what would be good is to have a list of the episodes that are going to be spoiled for you the most when you join the Inside Number 9 fandom. Because Mr. King was spoiled. I think that's quite easy to spoil that one. It's difficult to discuss without spoiling it. And the Stakeout are the two that spring to mind that were like completely spoiled for me, which is a shame because I think they were both fantastic. I'll be watching next week, hiding behind my chair with hands over my eyes. Yeah, same here. Well, not really onto to or Reddit, so the fan base seems really small for Inside Number 9. Lol. Yeah, and then even there's the fandom that are terminally online, such as myself, and then it's watched by people who are not terminally online. My dad watches Inside Number 9, but I wouldn't consider him, he's not part of the fandom anywhere. Although unless he's I think he's on a League of Gentlemen Facebook thing, but I think that's it. It might be an Inside Number 9, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I wouldn't consider there's plenty of people who watch television and just don't go online to talk about it. I can't imagine living like that. Maybe the final episode is just going to be a live stream of people in the theatre watching the final episode. Yeah. Well, the fan base is really small because the viewing figures are relatively small. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it has to have done quite well for it to have lasted this long. But then again, the series is, because of the whole one location thing, it's quite cheap. So that kind of balances itself out, I guess. But it's done very well. It usually does well in awards as well. I don't know how much of a factor that has on TV, but yeah, I think people were uncertain if it would be renewed after series 2 because they didn't get them to do a DVD commentary, so they made one themselves. So, but yeah, now, you know, I'm not sure what the viewing figures are like, but they can't be bad. It's not like, I don't know, Race Across the World or something, but it has to be relatively good, I'd say. That, and of course, who watches live TV these days? I predict that Inside Number 9 will become a cult hit with people finding it in the future years. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really timeless show. You know, I think someone had posted the other day of, you know, what things of, you know, will date the show. And I think, and apart from Last Night at the Proms, which was, I think, their only episode that was topical, I don't think they've made any episodes that have really felt specifically topical to a time. That was an episode where it was really specifically about Brexit and referencing Brexit. But still, I think, like The New Statesman, people will go, wow, this is like an artifact showing us what attitudes were towards Brexit. You know, I think it'll be a different experiences because people won't be watching it knowing the references. People will be watching it learning the references. So, but yeah, there's just like a handful of pop culture references, and most of them aren't that modern anyway. In one episode, the characters aren't really familiar with how to use an iPad. That's something some people brought up, and people are more familiar with iPads now. So I think the stuff that will date the show, I don't think there's anything that will date it that poorly. I think it's definitely going to last. I mean, I think with most things, if the quality of the writing is good, it's going to last on some level. Filthy Rich and Cat Flap, for example, which I reviewed a while ago, satirizing a genre that no longer exists. But I was still able to get some enjoyment out of it, despite me not having a real understanding of that. It's still, you know, Adrian Edmondson falling about drunk. So I thought there would be a decline in quality after series 4, but picked up again in series 7 and 9. So I think they've retained the quality. Some episodes just don't hit. Yeah, and that is it's very subjective, the show, which, you know, is of course, subjectivity is a thing, but, you know, I think you notice it more with the show because each episode is so different. With 55 episodes, some are going to be better than others. Yeah. And, you know, if you look at people's top 10 lists, much to the chagrin of Reece Shearsmith, but, you know, there are some people who rank some episodes really highly and some episodes really low. You really cannot predict how someone is going to see the series. I mean, there are even people who don't like It's 12 Days of Christine, and of course, that being a very impactful drama-centered one, you know, it's that's the reason why it gets ranked highly. It's not just because of the quality, although the quality, of course, isn't bad. It's very good. But yeah, I think that you know, the reason why it does so well in general is partially because it's a real gut punch emotionally, and partially just because it's not comedy. It's, well, there's jokes in it, but because it's more of a dramatic one, it doesn't, you know, have issues with, you know, subjectivity. Comedy is more subjective. It just inherently is, because it's so much more about getting a specific reaction from you. So yeah. Anyway, varying quality is kind of expected when it comes to anthologies. Anyway, yeah, very true. But of course, it does have the same two writers, which does mean that there's more of an expectation of consistent quality than a show that has a writer's room, I'd say. I often like episodes that other people don't like anyway. Yeah, every episode has its fans. I feel it has kept its quality and gist, unlike Black Mirror. I haven't seen Black Mirror, but I've constantly seen videos saying it's better than Black Mirror. Pretty much every YouTube thumbnail about Inside Number 9 is saying better than Black Mirror.
I think the issue with Black Mirror is that, like, the quality varies, like, across from episode to episode, and like you can watch one episode and really, really, really like it, and then the next one will just be awful, especially after season 2, I find. Because season 1 and season 2 were pretty consistent, I think. I actually did a video on an episode of Black Mirror, but it was a long time ago, and the video was not very good. So,
I can't remember what I was going to say there. But yeah, I actually made a joke in my Psychoville review of no, this is yet another video telling you that nobody is talking about Inside Number 9. Because it feels like it's better than Black Mirror, and no one is talking about it. Those are the two things everyone says.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I hearing Quiet Place Hate? No, you're certainly not. I absolutely adored that.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I would never say such things.
I don't like Rob Zombie's films, but Dr. Satan is a great-looking character, but his style isn't really my cup of tea. Oh, you've already responded to that. Inside Number 9 usually does one supernatural episode per series, so I expect next week's to contain an otherworldly aspect. Yeah, it's a period one, so I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched the trailer. I'd probably be able to speculate more if I've seen the trailer, but I genuinely avoid trailers for stuff I'm definitely going to see. Same with James Bond. No Time to Die. I avoided every trailer for that. We should do a tier list stream once the series is over. No, Reece Shearsmith will hunt me down and kill me. Also, I honestly don't think I could do that. Just because I would struggle to rank them so much. I remember discussing this with my dad when we both started getting into the series, and we'd discuss the series and try ranking them, and then we go, "What about that one?" And like, "Oh yeah, I completely forgot one of my favorite episodes." And then I think because the series is so different, I would genuinely struggle to do that. Just if you name any two episodes, there's a 50-50 chance I would not be able to rank one above the other. So that's as good as an idea for a stream, but I physically would not be able to. Christine is S tier, yeah, absolutely. Control Alt Escape gave me heavy Ghost Stories vibes, which is interesting because that was written by Jeremy Dyson, who's one of the League of Gentlemen. Ah, yes, I must get around to watching that because there's a film of it was a play and then a film, wasn't it? I started reading his book, and then because I've been doing my Rick May project, I've been focusing on a book called "Didn't You Kill My Mother-in-Law" for research, because that's about alternative comedy, the history of alternative comedy. And but yeah, I started reading The Haunted Book, which it's an I need to get back into it because I haven't even got to the gimmicky part, which is like found footage, but it's a book. It's I'm just going through the bit that's just the regular ghost story anthology, but I am really enjoying it so far, and I love how Jeremy's almost sort of playing himself. And it's so weird because, of course, I studied found footage. I read academic literature for my deadline videos about found footage, to see that, and one of them mentioned The Haunted Book anyway. But yeah, it's really interesting seeing those techniques applied in book form. Ghost Story for Christmas is back every year, written by Mark Gatiss, sort of a similar anthology. Yeah, I haven't got around to watching that, but yeah, I've heard of that. Have you done a Garth Marenghi video? I don't know which of us you're talking about, but I have done a video on Man to Man with Dean Lerner, the forgotten sequel to Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and I have seen Matthew Holness's Garth Marenghi live and got his book signed by him. There wasn't a chance anyone in that theatre was not going to buy the book. His reading was so funny. And you don't need an audiobook. You can absolutely hear his voice as you read it. Haven't read the new one. I've just read Terratome. But yeah, I might make a video on the Garth Marenghi series itself, because it's a series people have heard of and are more likely to click on than my Man to Man with Dean Lerner video. But yeah, I haven't done a video just on Garth Marenghi. Back to Black Mirror. Black Mirror tries too hard to be topical and edgy, and it winds up not hitting more than it hits because of that, in my opinion. It wants to be the Twilight Zone for the 21st century, but it just isn't.
That's sort of the word I was looking for. Topical. Topical.
Yeah.
It tries to be topical. That good. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Sorry, you continue.
I was just going to say, like, there are a lot of things in the show that I remember watching at the time and just being like, this is so cringy. Like, why was this the choice that you made? Like, in the episode that I reviewed, everything else in the episode is like really well done. And then at the end of the episode, if you've seen Black Mirror, you'll know which episode I'm talking about. At the end of the episode, they just throw in a troll face. And it's like, why? What was that for? It was going so well. This is not
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah, this is not the like haha great hip with the kids moment that you think it is. This is so embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know if I will check out Black Mirror at some point now that I've hardened myself by watching Inside Number 9. I mean, I've hardened myself so much I might even go and watch Grizzly Tales from Gruesome Kids, which scared the shit out of me as a child.
Yeah, I remember those books. I remember the book. It was very scary.
Yeah, I saw the covers of the Goosebumps books in the library as a kid at school and just went, nope, not reading that. But yeah, I found out recently the Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids is narrated by Nigel Planer from The Young Ones, and I'm just like, I've got to see it now. I did actually watch an episode the other day, and I might do a video on it. I definitely wouldn't rewatch the whole series because there's a ton of them, but yeah, I thought, oh, that's really interesting. Maybe I should look back on it as, because of course, now that I'm into horror anthologies and Nigel Planer, maybe it'd be an interesting thing to revisit. Ranking things is fun. Okay, Wise Owl versus Nana's Party. Yeah, that's a relatively easy one, and I think you know that is. I mean, I think there are very few people who would rank Nana's Party above Wise Owl unless the subject matter of Wise Owl made them feel so uncomfortable that they weren't able to sort of enjoy it, because it is a dark episode. First Seed versus 55th Seed. I don't know what you mean. I believe Charlie Brooker veered away from tech stuff to be more politically / socially critical. Yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, I think I remember what I was going to say now. I remember the first time I heard about Black Mirror, it was when it first came out, and there was something about it being very similar to the Piggate scandal, which was happening at the same time that the episode.
Yeah. The very first episode. That was kind of what it was making fun of.
I thought so it came out like before. I thought that was what it predicted it or something. Not predicted, but the thing was that it came out beforehand.
It did? I thought it came out afterwards.
I need to look this up. I'm
just shocked that they actually did that.
Yeah, let me check. No, 4 years after it was first broadcast. So they did predict it.
They did predict it?
Yeah, it was 4 years after it came out. I think it's because Black Mirror was quite a sleeper hit, so it may well have been that plenty of people heard of Black Mirror through this. because I think it was
yeah,
around
that
this
makes
time or earlier. It was dropped by Channel 4 and picked up by Netflix.
Yeah, because the content was too shocking. I remember hearing about it. I admit I watched Black Mirror when I probably shouldn't have been watching it, but I remember not many people mentioning it until like 4 or 5 years after the first episode. Like, I had no idea that the first episode aired in 2011. I thought it was from like 2013 or 14.
Yeah, I think just because when people knew about it was so much later than when it first came out. A feature-length film of Inside Number 9 would be fantastic. Yeah, they're always asked about that. I'm sort of on the opinion of I would love to see them write a film. An Inside Number 9 film, I just kind of don't really see the point, but of just doing something with like the location thing, and I don't know. I just want to see them write a film, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they have written a film. I think they started writing a Krampus film, and then the Krampus film came out, and they're like, "Oh, well, we can't do that now." Then, but they did use a Krampus idea in another episode. But yeah, I think so I'm sure that they've worked on screenplays and not got them made because, of course, it's more difficult with a screenplay. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they had already written screenplays that had just never been made. But I'd like to see them write a film. Apart from League of Gentlemen's Apocalypse, I think that's the only film that they've written, which I do like. I'm going to recommend Ghostwatchers horror that's worth watching. It's a big influence on recent Steve, and it's just a really interesting moment in British TV history. Yes, I watched it when preparing for Deadline. I was considering doing a video on it, either like a proper review or like a quick thing for my Ko-Fi, which is I've been making more exclusive videos for Ko-Fi, but I don't have any members yet. I did make another video for it the other day, but I'm just making videos for tumbleweeds. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I didn't end up I because people compared it to Deadline, I was like, right, I need to see it to see how similar it is. And Rishi was right, it's not that similar to Deadline. It's just kind of the idea of it. Although of course they both use ghosts. It's a bit more than just that, but anyway, it's pretty minor similarities, but yeah, I have seen it. I don't know if I did have thoughts. I don't know if I'd revisit it at some point, but yeah, probably. I actually went to a talk that the guy who wrote Ghostwatch did. It was very interesting. But yeah, I've been fascinated with the concept of Ghostwatch for years. I actually read the Wikipedia page for it when I was at uni, and then couldn't go to sleep afterwards. So this shows you how much of a pussy I was with horror until very recently. I mean, I probably still am, but the Wikipedia synopsis made me unable to sleep. Same with that Disneyland horror film. Can't remember what it's called. I watched Ghostwatch as a kid. Country went crazy. Why did you see it when it was broadcast? That's amazing. It's such a great flick. But yeah, the backlash to it was wild. The Beeb have literally never screened it again. Yeah, I think the backlash is partially blown out of proportion, and partially there was actual stuff that happened that I don't feel actually comfortable discussing. I wonder if they could do a similar Ghostwatch again, because lots of people don't watch live TV anymore. Well, Inside Number 9 have tried it twice. Yeah, it's very true. I agree. Devil Christmas is so elite. I love the fact that they went and used actual old cameras for that. That was just such a, and you can see like the sort of the lens flare with the bit with the candles and they're having dinner. I love that. And such a fascinating. I'm not going to talk about it now. We've hardly talked about the episode we're talking about, but I don't care. We just had such a wonderful conversation. If they did an Inside Number 9 film, it would have to be in the style of Tales from the Crypt or Dr. Terror's House of Horror, etc. That would be ace. But they did that with League of Gentlemen, thinking about Christmas special. Yeah, they did do an anthology horror with that. I definitely recommend that, Soapy. It does work on its own as a standalone episode, the Christmas special. It is kind of like a 1 hour horror anthology.
I find that Christmas specials tend to be very, very good unless it's Star Wars. But you can't win everything. It's okay. We can let it go.
Yeah. But yeah, it is brilliant. And I'm just like, now I'm thinking of the characters in League of Gentlemen and how good they are. I need to do a video essay series in League of Gentlemen. I have to do a series of video essays on it. That's how much there is to talk about. I've talked about doing a podcast as well, but obviously I'll have to wait until Inside Number 9 is ended because I barely have enough time to remember to do these live streams. But yeah, right. Anyway, I want to make multiple video essays on it because it's so complicated and there's so much for me to talk about and analyze. I love it so much. That's probably why I need to keep my distance from it. Like, no, I'm in an 80s comedy phase. I need to stop thinking about League of Gentlemen so it doesn't take over my life again. Damn, everyone here makes videos. I mean, it's just me and Soapy, I think. Is it not? Oh, Joshua.
Lexi makes videos as well.
Oh, really?
I just saw. But
yes, I see that.
Also, I noticed that you made a video on Christmas horror, which included Silent Night, Deadly Night in the thumbnail. I'm so sorry if you watched that, and I'm especially sorry if you saw the second one. Why with those movies? The second one I would say is the best one out of all 5 of them, technically 6, but because they did a remake which is like tangentially related. It's not really related. I don't know if you've heard of those movies. It got banned, the first one.
No, was it a video nasty then?
Yeah, it was categorized as one. Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of it was censored anyway, and you can they've put the scenes back in, but the scenes that were originally cut have like that really old look to them. My favorite is Brian Usner is a very good director, but his movies are not for the faint-hearted. Didn't he do Reanimator? Or am I thinking of somebody else? I love Reanimator. That movie hits differently now. Reanimator is a movie about some students that try to reanimate corpses while in medical school.
That sounds interesting.
It's from the 80s.
Hi, Ross. Nice to have you on the stream.
It's from the 80s, and it's like they were trying to like be as offensive as possible while making it. It's more of a black comedy than a straight horror, but it is like it's like a zombie comedy movie, but not in a traditional sense.
I'm like, why you say that? Oh, Reanimate.
Oh, ha, very funny.
He did Reanimate with Stuart Gordon, and he did Society.
Because I know that he did Society, but I remember watching it as a kid and just not understanding, like a Reanimator as a kid, and just not understanding a lot of it. Not when I say kid, I mean I was like 15. But but now that I'm like an adult and like I just know like I don't know, like I get more of like the because I didn't really understand like I knew about, I don't know, I don't really want to spoil the movie, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But I mean, like I watched a lot of horror movies as a kid, and like when you see them now, it's kind of like, oh, that's what they meant by that.
Yeah. Ross said, I'm at movies and making videos. I'm sticking around for now. Oh, I see. Well, yeah, if you think that you've got, if you want to share your thoughts, absolutely go for it. I think I was saying that this the other day to somebody. I don't make my videos because I think my opinion is more important than anyone else's. I make mine because my opinion is just as important as everyone else's. I think everyone has something to say, and it could be great to share that with people. And that's especially goes for everyone who writes an essay in my comment section. And that's not saying that I don't love those long comments. I absolutely do. But I'm like, wow, you have so much that you want to say. You should put yourself out there like that as well. But I love, especially love the ones I've got recently of I've had them before as well. But anyway, the ones where people talk about watching the things when they first came out in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, that's always really exciting, and I love it when people share those stories with me. If Piggate hadn't happened, Brexit might not have happened. If Ed Miliband could eat a bacon sandwich, the Labour Party could have been in power. Yeah, that's that's a weird thought, isn't it? People are going to be studying that in their history classes in the future. So why did the Labour Party win the election? Well, there was a bacon sandwich, and people thought he looks kind of weird eating it. So yeah, they just decided not to vote Labour.
Are we talking about comments? Sorry,
I can't hear you very well there, Soapy.
Oh, that's why. Sorry, my. Is that okay now, or is that too? I think that's too loud.
Yeah,
okay, so sorry. Sometimes my microphone cuts out. It's a bit old. What were we saying about comments? Sorry, I zoned out for a second, but then I came back when we started talking about Ed Miliband eating a bacon sandwich. What were we talking about?
Saying that that everyone has, everyone's opinion is valid and everyone has something to say, and it's and people should start their own channels. And I was also talking about people who I get in the comments who watch stuff when it first came out in like the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, and it's always really wonderful to hear their stories.
Oh yes, my dad really liked the movie Terminator 2 when it came out. He was a teenager, and I also really loved the movie at the same age. So like just hearing him say that, I was like, oh, it's a generational thing, I guess. But I don't know. I also spoke to my mother about the effect in that movie because have you seen Terminator 2?
I have not. I haven't seen Terminator either. I'm terrible. There's so many classic films that like I haven't seen.
It was really revolutionary for a CGI. Like, of course, it looks rather dated now, but I mean, at the time, apparently, it was really scary because it's like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen an effect like this before, and
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to say also, Tim WD, your profile picture is really cute.
Yeah,
I love
it's lovely.
cats. I love cats. They make me so happy.
I'll swing back to the episode because I don't know if Joshua Williams is still on, but I was he's commented some things earlier. I was like, oh well, when he stopped talking back to Doctor Who, I'll look at those comments. But then that was like an hour ago.
Sorry.
That's not a problem. In regards to the ending, I've never been on the verge of tears 1 minute and on the edge of my seat with dread and excitement the next. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it moved me as much as it moved other people, but like still fantastic episode. The twist reminded me of a novel I reviewed once called Marabou Stalk Nightmares by Irvine Welsh. It was one of my first videos, actually. Oh, was it? So yeah, you do book reviews as well, don't you? What's it gonna do? Yeah, so people pulling a ghost watch on us. Yeah. Yeah, or pulling a deadline.
I'm sorry, guys. In reality, just my microphone fell over.
Yeah, I'm really sorry you've had to deal with that, Lexi. That's really shitty. You know, I mean, you know, it's the stuff that women get is bad enough. The stuff that's being said of trans people. I mean, you know, I'm on Twitter too much now. I quit when the whole X thing happened, and then I sort of started getting back in on there to promote my Inside Number 9 stuff, and then I've kind of made friends on there, so now I can't leave. But yeah, I'm the stuff trans people go through and is bad enough without all the shit that's happened, and it's got so much from what I've seen and heard, it's got worse in recent years. Because you know, it used to be wrapped up in transphobia, but like you look at media from further ago, and the way people discuss it is different. You know, it's just.
Isn't
Anyway,
there a way that you can like moderate your comments without turning them off?
Yeah, I think there is. I think it's probably a lot just easier to deal with because people will then find workarounds. You know, if you censor certain words.
Oh yeah, that's true.
then
But I mean,
will...
I was just thinking because like it is still nice to have nice conversations with people in the comments. But I mean, if it's just easy to like remove all of them, then
yeah, it really sucks. And you know, it's not the main. That there are multiple reasons why I'm faceless, but you know, at least I don't have people discussing what I look like because you know, if people thought I was good, I was ugly, they'd be calling me ugly. If people thought I was good looking, people would then say people aren't interested in you for what for what you have to say. You're only successful, or people are only watching you because you're good looking. And I'm just and sending sexually inappropriate things to me as well. And I'm just like, I'm not saying that I will always be faceless, but I don't really see any positives to being faceless apart from obviously it's easier to connect with people when you see a face. At least I have,
mean,
you know,
sorry.
I have a temporary avatar now. But
I'll get on that as soon as possible.
Pardon?
I'll get on that as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely need to discuss that at some point. But yeah, I know you've been busy, but
I was going to say, sorry. So I was just going to make a joke. Sorry.
That's all right.
All I was going to say is the reason I don't have a face cam is because I don't have a reflection.
Ah, makes sense.
So, you know, like, unfortunate, but what can I do?
Yeah, but yeah, it's I'm you know, and also it's not the main reason. It's also because I don't have to worry about how I look on camera, just in terms of, you know, I don't really wear makeup, so obviously I don't have to. But I'd still, you know, looking at myself in the camera, go, "Oh Christ!" And then, you know, I don't have to worry about what I look like on camera. I don't have to worry about lighting. I don't have to worry about camera quality. There's just so much stuff that I don't need to think about. It makes it a bit harder to edit, but you know, it just being faceless outweighs the positives for me. But yeah, it's kind of shitty that I know it's I know that it outweighs the positive slightly, negative slightly more so because I'm a woman. I remember I watched Dominic Noble did a video who makes primarily makes videos comparing books to films, and he did a video and giving advice for people making similar kind of content on YouTube, which is really brilliant, because of course YouTube advice channels are good at sort of studying metrics, but that's the only real thing they can give advice on because YouTube is so varied. So to for someone who makes the kind of content I do to do video giving advice, it's really useful to see someone give it specific advice. But anyway, he did then get a female creator on and say, you know, I know that this is a very different experience for women, and then he just got her to come on at the end and detail her experiences of, you know, being a woman online. And yeah, it's just awful. But being trans, I imagine is just so much more than that.
I just wanted to say, like, I remember, like, it wasn't my first hate comment, but like one of the hate comments I got like pretty early on was on my was on one of my videos where I think that the person who left the comment, they deleted their comment like the next day. I think they regretted posting it. They posted several hate comments on the video, but you can still see my replies to it because I was just mostly confused. But the hate comments seemed to come from the idea that they couldn't tell what my gender was, and they were just assuming that I was. They were saying things that were very bizarre, like that I don't know what like real masculinity is. And I was like, oh, and like they were like, oh, you're like feminized, and I was like, what do you mean? I was like because I was just kind of confused because I was like, again, what do you mean? Because all I said was that I prefer the remake over an original movie. That's all I said. What does that have to do with anything I said in the video? But I don't get it. Like, if it's not the topic of the video, even if it is the topic of the video, don't be mean. But like, what does it have to do with anything? Like, come on, guys, come on.
Yeah,
but
I do wonder sometimes if some people, especially older people, because you get quite a few older people commenting because I make videos on older stuff, if some of them are a bit more dismissive of me because I'm young and because I'm a woman, and I wonder if they'd be slightly politer if that wasn't the case.
I mean,
but there's very few comments that I have like that.
I mean, in my experience, this is generally just based on playing like video games back in the day. The attitude is different when people assume that I'm a male, just based on my voice.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that they are more aggressive when they assume I'm a male, but it's different. It's different if, like, I mean, when I say aggressive, I mean like they call you names and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a bit different when when they assume that you're a woman. A female, I guess, or I don't know. So, and like, I posted a video relatively recently talking about voice types because I was like, okay, guys, I just want to clear the air. Okay, I just want to clear the air. So this isn't because like I've had people just commenting like, or like just people I've spoken to just online outside of YouTube and being like, wait, I thought you're not a guy. Like no, I just have I just have the lowest voice type. That's all. I'm just blessed to have the lowest voice type, which means that all I get to play is old women on stage. You know, I play witches. I play old ladies. I play the mum. That's all I get. But sometimes I get to play the hero, but only if the role is a prince.
Well, that's great. You'll always get the lead in panto.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is very true.
Oh no, you won't.
Oh yes. Oh, and I remember going to so many pantos as a kid, and it was just so fun. Oh, he's behind you. That was so funny back in the day.
Oh, it's such a lovely conversation going on in the comments here. I'm just gonna quickly go through this. Sending hugs, Lexi. I don't know if you're gonna check out your stuff, but yeah, sending hugs. Yeah, that's what my mum always says. Don't let the bastards get you down. Yeah, I can imagine it's too much hassle.
I mean, honestly though, I don't mind playing the witch because I don't have to act that much. I can just be myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of the witch roles are really funny.
Yeah. You don't have a face? I have a face because I'm a human, not really a cat. What a twist! Anyway, going back to the episodes, you have some comments further up about the episode. Again, I don't mind us going off topic. Yeah. One of the few is number 9 to the happy ending. Yeah. I wouldn't say there's that few with an happy ending. I mean, it depends what you define by happy. You know,
I wouldn't necessarily call it a happy ending either, because my first thought when he opened his eyes is like, what's the level of brain damage after being in a coma for this long? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just a nerd. I don't know.
The ending with the exit sign is too satisfying. Yeah, absolutely. Why did you wake up after seeing the number 9? I guess. Yeah, I don't know. There's like something mentally you had to go through to get out of the coma. I don't know enough about comas and getting out of them, I suppose. So inside number 5, right? Hi, Ben Zamori, lovely to see you. Oh, I didn't share it on I didn't share the stream on George's Discord, did I? I usually do that. But yeah, lovely to see you as always.
Sorry, my microphone just fell again. I really hope that nobody heard that.
No, we didn't. Don't worry. Sorry if there's always rattling with my microphone. This isn't my nice microphone that I record my videos with. This is one sort of rattles a bit if I move it around too much, and I do because I'm sat on the floor next to the router. Anyway, I think that the number 9 didn't really matter. The important thing was he sent a sign that he was alive, trying to escape. Yeah. Yeah, it was him saying it was his way out. I mean, I thought it just an escape room. We had to work out the last number to get the key, which was the figurative escape from the coma. Yeah. Yeah, lovely to see you, Ben. I'll continue this conversation here with Lexi. It felt important to show my face in vids, etc., but because there's a representation thing. I don't see many trans people talking about horror, especially on YouTube. And for me, that felt like something I wish I was seeing. So I wanted to be that. I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a good a reason as any. You know, I think that's. I mean, you know, women in general are underrepresented in review discussions, which wasn't really something I'd even noticed. Because I watched film review content, but it didn't really occur to me that, you know, film reviewers on YouTube and video essays is quite a male space. You know, there are enough, not enough, but you know, I mean, enough female reviewers and video essayists that I didn't feel like I was the only one. but yeah, I would definitely say there are fewer women in general, but yeah, I have seen some trans women make video essay kind of stuff and reviews, but not specifically on.
I mean,
horror.
I didn't really think about it either, because like I just sort of watched reviewers that I thought wrote good content.
Yeah,
didn't really-
absolutely.
I didn't really think about things like, oh, is this a man or a woman, or how old? Like, obviously, I thought that certain characteristics that they have would affect their interpretation of the material that they're reviewing, because different people have different experiences and stuff. But I just thought, like, okay, let me watch this video. Oh, is what you're saying utter rubbish? No? Okay, I'm subscribed.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like how I approached it. But I was pleased to find a group of niche internet micro celebrities such as myself with you guys. Which included which
I think. Oh, sorry.
were pretty. Sorry, I was going to say which are pretty diverse in terms of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially our group chat on Reddit, which I haven't been active in ages, but it is still going. I still get notifications for it, and I'm really happy to see that that's still going. But yeah, I think the best thing about this thing with YouTube that I've done for nearly 2.5 years now, it's been the community. Absolutely, hands down, it's been the community that's come with it. There are a lot of positive things. I can't think of anything negative from it at all, really. I probably should cancel my subscription to StreamYard, because I could do the free version, but then I keep forgetting to do that. But I think that's the only I could probably do with getting rid of the premium version of Canva as well, because again, I signed up and I probably don't need it anymore. But the fact that those are the only two negative things I can think of have just goes to show how
I don't really use Canva anymore, because I just started editing my thumbnails in the equivalent of Photoshop. Because I could like actually remove stuff myself with the cursor and like sort of fiddle around with things. Because the thing I liked about Canva was that it had like I want to call them rulers, where they sort of tell you where the center is and where the and that was why I used it. And I also like the stock images and stuff, but I just kind of was like, okay, I could just edit. It's much easier to edit things, especially if I want to, like, I don't know, exaggerate something, make something a particular feature of a like someone's eyes, or edit the color of something. It's much easier to do in like another form of software.
Yeah, and I know it is pretty basic, but that's why I like it. And
the thing with thumbnails is that you want them to be eye-catching, but not too busy.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm chained to my formula now of using that background, which I have had people say I don't like the background, and I'm like, yeah, but the fact that I always use it means people always know when I post a video. When it's because Saberspark does that. When a Saberspark video comes out, I know the moment I see the thumbnail that it's his thumbnail, because he uses the same background each time. And I chose the blue color just because I was going for when I made my old logo, I was going for like I was going to focus more on books, so comparing books to films. So I got a book clip art, and I was like, right, I just need a color to contrast with that, which is sort of dark pink kind of color. And So yeah, that's
just-
why I've got this color, and yeah, I've had some people saying that they don't like the color, but it's just or that it looks cheap, which I don't really understand, to be honest. But it's just like, but people know that it's mine when they see it. That's
I wouldn't say that it looks cheap, but it has a sort of aesthetic that a lot of Tim Burton's older films have, which is an aesthetic that I like. Like, it doesn't look Hollywood sterile. That's what I would say. It doesn't look sterile. And I just associate the blue color with you, so
Oh, that's good. It's working.
I mean, generally for me, like the colors that I would associate with my brand, let's say in inverted commas, is just red and black, and maybe
yes, absolutely.
gray. Maybe the gray that is my totally real skin color.
Yeah, it's it's a important part of branding. That's why I'm like, well, it's stuck now, the color.
And yeah, you can't just change it if it's your brand. It's not. You can't.
Yeah.
Just change it.
Ross, going back to video games, the way women are treated in video games is genuinely vile. And Benzamoria said, ironic as more women play video games than men. I did not know that, but yeah, it's the kind of.
I think it depends on the type of video game and the platform.
Yeah, I think it's more games as a whole. I mean, I think if it includes mobile games, I think the figures then
definitely.
Yeah.
I was going to say about that. We were talking about this. This was several years ago. With someone in school, and he was like, "Oh, the real victims of video games are little children," which is true. I think. I mean, when I say real victims, I mean they get the like it's a lot. Like they get bullied. Okay. Like, obviously he was being facetious, but I mean, like, it's not fun if you're like 12 and you're trying to play a video game online.
Yeah. That thing of the demographics being sort of falsely represented in terms of what people think. I remember, I can't remember, it was like Xbox said they were going to, I can't remember what it was that conservatives had said, they're brainwashing children. It's like, well, most people who play games consoles are adults, so no, they're not brainwashing children.
Yeah,
like Xbox having an eco power feature. It's like,
eco power feature.
People believe that climate change is real. Okay.
But like isn't just using a renewable energy, regardless of whether you believe in I don't understand that. Well, like, if you don't believe in climate change, why that's an issue? Like, isn't that just nicer anyway? Like, cleaner air? No?
Yeah. Benson Moore again. If the person is engaging and interesting with the topics in their vids, who cares who they are? Absolutely.
My point exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot of horror that has heavy queer/trans undertones, and that specifically didn't seem to be talked about much outside of my circles. Yeah, I think there's. Again, I'm not that familiar with horror, but I'm someone who's really, really fascinated by the history of queer media. And there's so much stuff that I want to see more people talking about. Like, I think I will do I for reasons that I'm not going to go into now, I shelved a review I did of Eat the Rich, which is a Comic Strip Presents film. I'd only seen like 2 Comic Strip Presents episodes, but I think I would give a very different, or a reasonably different review now, especially now I've also found the extended cut of the film, which I didn't see originally. So I think I would redo it partially, if not fully, from scratch. But anyway, that I believe that's the first film to have a non-binary protagonist. It's not explicitly non-binary. That's literally what the she goes by she/her pronouns now. But that's she was literally said at the time, I don't want to be referred to as male or female. Instead of being weirded out by it, director Peter Richardson went, "That sounds cool." So the character she plays, Alex, is not specifically stated to be either gender. So regardless of the quality of the film as a whole, I think that's a really fascinating thing that people aren't talking about. And like I said, New Statesman, I really want to hear what people who have better knowledge of queer history and queer representation and culture have to say about it. And I think I imagine it would just be not wholly positive, not wholly negative. I think it would be somewhere in the middle.
I think with most political issues, the average would be mostly in the middle, just because of people.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that it's mentioned at all is a positive. So people saying trans people didn't exist until 2015. No, you've been ignorant until 2015. There's a difference. Anyway, Lexi again on the subject of women reviewers. Strong shout out to Anna. I can't remember that name, but that's but I know who you're talking about, and Rihanna Dillon, who do the Kermode and Mayo pod sometimes. Yes. I can't remember what papers they write for. But yeah, I have heard them on there before. Ross, I'm the straight white dude of the group. I'm pretty much all of Inside Number 9 Twitter is it's pretty much just trans boys and trans men. It's just trans men and queer women. I'm the token straight woman. It feels like a lot of the time. Yes, battle to the death as the token straight. Yeah, I love that we're it's the reverse with the token straight friend to show the filmmakers that they're not heterophobic. See, there's a straight person, they have a line. Oppressed straight white dude, pity the poor men. There are a ton of LGBT films, yeah, and horror in general is a genre built on non-conformity and heteronormativity. Yeah, that's really interesting. I do love all those concepts. I must watch more of that kind of stuff. My go-to horror LGBT film was James Whale's original Frankenstein, but I realised I was gay when I saw Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon. Oh, that's interesting. Hail Benson Mori, the token straight man.
Sorry, I was going to say I really, really love the book Red Dragon.
Anyway, sorry, what you were saying?
Oh, sorry, I said I really love the book Red Dragon.
Yeah, I need to get around to.
Oh, sorry, I thought you couldn't hear me.
I
Sorry.
think there's quite a big delay. I think the delay's got bigger now. But yeah, I haven't seen Silence of the Lambs or any of that stuff. But horror is a good vehicle for social commentary. Yeah, definitely. I love Bride of Frankenstein and The Invisible Man. James Whale is such a great director. I do really want to watch. I do really want to watch like the old Universal horror. The only one I've seen, I stumbled across this film that the categorization of Universal horror is actually something that was categorized in like formally categorized in like home media releases. So there wasn't really any sort of formal categorization of Universal horror roster until like the 80s. But so what films are and aren't included varies depending on like the DVD box set. But I did stumble on one which I think has only once or twice been included, and it you got the sense that it was like this was a B movie. This is like 3 sets and like 3 characters. But yeah, it was a fun film. I can't remember what it was called. but yeah, it's about this sculptor, and anyway, I'll quit rambling. But yeah, whatever it was interesting. How did Silence of the Lambs help you realize you were gay? I got turned on by a very gruesome but hypererotic scene in a cage. I don't think I want to know what happens.
I don't remember that scene. I don't remember that scene.
Silence of the Lambs forced me, in part anyway, into the closet. Yeah, I've heard that sort of. Obviously, I know sort of the themes of the. Oh my god! Thank you, Jitesh. That's my first super chat. Yeah, absolutely. Don't listen to the haters. Fuck them. Oh yeah, talking about the eco-friendly thing. Or be more eco-friendly. Turn off the video game console and go outside. Yeah, absolutely. Clean air. I prefer pollution. Okay, Dr. Robotnik. That's lovely, Joshua. I'm sorry to hear about your Lexi. I'm sorry to hear about your experiences. Hope you are thriving as a person, making amazing content. What have Ross got to say there? Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, we've got a bit of a delay there. It's. I mean, I can hear a bit of a because you're not wearing headphones, are you, Soapy? Because I can hear a bit of an echo on your end. Some bits.
I do mute my microphone when I'm not talking.
Yeah. I thought you were, but yeah, I think when we're accidentally talking at the same time, I can hear my echo. So sorry, I bumped the mic. So yeah, I think the film is called House of Horrors. Maybe, yeah. It was about this guy. It was like the lead actor in it, or the guy who's playing like the monster was a guy who had like a sort of type of gigantism or something, where his face just kept growing. So he had quite a grotesque face. So literally, it's just a whole film of people being horrified by this guy's actual face.
I think I know the actor that you're talking about.
I think he only did like 2 films. But anyway, it's about this sculptor. This ugly guy's a serial killer, and this sculptor's like, "You've got such an interesting face. I could make this, and it'll be my masterpiece." And it's this little bullied sculptor who just sits there stroking his cat. It's like, "Oh, that horrible art critic who is mean to me. He just sits there on his office on the 5th floor of 34th Street in Manhattan. Oh, how he torments me!" And then the serial killer goes and kills him.
nice.
So yeah, I think it might be House of Horrors.
That makes me think of the. That makes me think of the what's it called? The movie House of Wax. But I think that Lexi is right in saying that it's House of Horrors, because I think the actor that you're referring to is an actor called Rondo Hatton, and
Yes.
what he had was acromegaly, which is a condition which basically means that, you know, when you get to a certain age, your bone plates fuse, and then it's basically telling your body to stop growing.
Yeah.
After for people with acromegaly, when their bone plates fuse, they don't stop growing. So.
Yeah. Right. Alexi says Vincent Price or Paris Hilton with House of Wax. Yeah.
Definitely the one with
I've been really meaning to watch House of Wax. Yeah.
The one with Paris Hilton. It's quite the film. It's quite the experience.
I can imagine. Big thank you to Benzamori. It just says I can't see the super sticker on StreamYard, which I didn't realize I wouldn't be able to, so that's annoying. But I'll see it when I watch this back later. Thank you so much, Ben Samori. That's really kind of you. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Play content. Thank you for joining us. This is another good one. This series is great so far. I'd award most episodes 9 out of 9. Yeah, same here. There's very few episodes that I consider imperfect. I'll be honest. I mean, I haven't seen. There's apart from Deadline, I haven't really seen any of them. I haven't seen many of them more than twice. Now I have because of doing this. I've seen some of them 3 times, but a Deadline I've seen probably more times than anyone else. But yeah, most episodes of Inside Number 9 I have only seen once. This is interesting. I watched the House of Wax remake not that long ago, and it actually rules. Oh, I've certainly heard good things, but
it's not my style of horror movie. I'll just say that it's not my style. Like I don't think that it's the worst movie ever made. I just think that it's very tropey. Because sort of the 2000s for horror were kind of like, okay, let's remake this classic and this classic and this classic, and let's try and sort of reinvent the cannibal boom of the 70s and early 80s. But
because it's just kind of do the most extreme thing you can, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was this whole campaign around the House of Wax remake, which was like, Paris Hilton dies in this movie, guys, come and see it. It's a product of its time. I'm very much into the more old school suspense, patience kind of horror. I mean, I like slashers, but more because
that's the kind of horror I want to start getting into.
I mean, I would recommend the Universal movies as a starting point, because the Universal movies are sort of the first, or at least first that exist now, sound adaptations of like classic silent films and novels from the 19th century. So and also they're just not scary. So
yeah. Yeah, that's again about the Paris Hilton one. Yeah, it's so mid 2000s.
It really is. And I mean, just for context, like the early to mid 2000s is when they started remaking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for example.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff was remade then, wasn't it? Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Ross. Lovely to have you here.
But I mean, it was remade by what's his name? Michael Bay's film company.
I don't know. Anyway, I've just realized it's nearly midnight. I think this might have been my longest stream ever. Thank you so much, guys. You've just had such a good conversation.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I lost track of time.
But yeah, so yeah, I'll be doing this. I'm gonna just say I'm gonna do this same day, same time next week. I've been a bit flaky with all this because I'm just. I mean, was it last week where I did the Doctor Who stream? I think it was. I mean, then at least I had an excuse. I did 2 streams that week, but yeah, I'm just gonna say now, same time next week I'll be doing the stream, and I'll hopefully ask people before 3 hours before. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? So yeah, hopefully, yeah, maybe have some more people on, maybe not. Whatever happens. So yeah,
hopefully George feels better by
let's
then.
quickly give any final thoughts on the episode. Pardon?
I said hopefully George feels better by then.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully Elliot's able to join us. So yeah, any final thoughts on the episode?
I think I preferred last week's episode, but this one was definitely enjoyable. I thought that the ending was sort of like, okay, they wanted to give us a happy ending. I could tell I could tell that they were going to have him awaken. So, but I thought it was good.
That's interesting because I think as someone who's more of an Inside Number 9 fan, I feel like I feel like we're not certain whether or not they'd go with the sort of the safe option of him waking up at the end, or of it being confirmed that he wakes up at the end even. So
Well,
I think
sorry, I thought that like he was going to wake up and it was going to be fine, or he would wake up and still die.
But yeah, that they do. They're certainly not afraid of a dark ending. So so yeah, maybe because I've already have that expectation, I was really not certain whether or not they would kill him off. It did for me at least. It did really feel like it could have gone either way. But play content again. Speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm actually going to a late night showing of the original soon. It'll be my first full viewing. If only they also showed Paris Hilton's House of Wax after it. I imagine it would be quite the double bill. So yeah, final thoughts. I don't think it had the same emotional impact on me as it did to other people, but I still really loved this episode. I think it was a really, really fantastic one. I really didn't know that it was going to go in that direction. Like I said, I guessed that it probably wouldn't go in it's the murderer is real thing, but yeah, still. So yeah, and thanks to whoever subscribed during the stream, because now I do have 1,500 subscribers. Thank you so much. Oh, another one from Jitesh. 12 Days of Christine. Oh, I'm not going to spoil 12 Days of Christine. Don't spoil things. Don't spoil things. But yeah. So yeah. So yeah. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you same time next week. Go subscribe to Soapy's channel if you haven't. And yeah. Thanks, guys. Love is understanding. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.